this past week in AI. Man, it's like stepping into a time machine, Seriously. All the articles and announcements, OpenAI's Dev Day, Microsoft going all in on AI with Windows. It's almost too much to process.
It's been a whirlwind, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And what really stands out to me is these aren't just incremental improvements. It feels like we're on the verge of something much bigger, like AI being woven into every aspect of our lives very soon.
Exactly. And rather than drown you in a sea of tech jargon, we're diving deep into the reveals that actually matter. So first up, OpenAI's Dev Day. Buried in all the demos was a bombshell, AI agents, coming in 2025.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a formal announcement or anything. Apparently, OpenAI's CEO just kind of let it slip, and thankfully, some eagle-eyed YouTuber caught it on video.
Proof that even AI overlords have their slip-ups, I guess. But for those who haven't encountered the term, what exactly is an AI agent?
So imagine ChatGPT, right? But instead of just answering your questions, it can actually act for you. We're talking booking that perfect flight, scouring the web for specific data you need, even drafting emails in your own writing style.
Okay, so not just writing me a sonnet anymore, but handling my travel plans, research, correspondence. Yeah, it's a lot to wrap my head around.
It really is. And the fact that OpenAI is saying 2025, that means this isn't some distant sci-fi fantasy. This is a fundamental shift in how we interact with technology, potentially within the next year or two.
Makes you wonder, if it can book flights, could it also find those hidden deals airlines don't want you to see? Or even rearrange your whole itinerary if your flight gets canceled before you even know there's an issue?
Now you're thinking like an AI agent user. And that's the thing, the potential benefits are huge, right? Efficiency, personalization, access to information and services we might not even be aware of. But of course, there are questions too, like what if these agents start prioritizing certain airlines based on some hidden algorithm, potentially limiting your choices without you even realizing? These are the discussions we need to be having as this all unfolds.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. But before we get too lost in the future, OpenAI also unveiled some really interesting upgrades to ChatGPT itself. This whole Canvas thing sounds kind of artsy for an AI tool, doesn't it?
It's definitely a departure from that typical text-based interface we're used to, but it's incredibly powerful. Imagine a Google Doc, but after you're done writing, you can tell the AI to make it shorter, more formal, even add in some emojis if you're feeling spicy.
So instead of agonizing over every word choice and struggling to hit the right tone, I can just have ChatGPT tweak it till it's perfect. Man, that's tempting.
Streamlines things, right. And that's not even scratching the surface. Canvas also has this feature that can explain complex topics in a way anyone can understand. No more pretending to get something just to save face in a meeting.
Okay, now that I need. But what I find really intriguing is how Canvas has built-in shortcuts for everything. No more jumping between apps to do a quick search or generate an image. It's all right there in the chat.
It's all about making AI more intuitive and integrated into our workflow. And from what we've seen, Canvas is a major step in that direction.
Yeah, OpenAI definitely brought their A game, but we all know Microsoft never misses a chance to jump into the AI ring, right? Their new Copilot Plus PCs sound like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Remembering everything you do, it's like a digital brain.
It's ambitious, for sure. Microsoft calls this Recall, and it basically captures your activity across all applications, like a supercharged browsing history, if you will.
Okay, so on one hand, think of the possibilities. Never lose a file, forget a website, or draw a blank when you know you saw that crucial piece of information somewhere. But then again, it's a little, Big Brother-ish, isn't it?
Yeah, and Microsoft is definitely anticipating those concerns. They've emphasized that all the data Recall gathers stays on your device, not on their servers.
Well, that's somewhat reassuring, I guess. But privacy issues aside, these Copilot Plus PCs are loaded, right? We're talking advanced image editing, AI-powered searches within your photos, like they're turning our computers into creative powerhouses.
Exactly. The goal is to make AI an invisible partner in your digital life. And it goes even further than that with a feature they call Copilot Vision. This is AI that can actually see what's on your screen. So you can control your computer with voice commands based on what the AI sees.
Hold on, Copilot Vision. So I could be staring at a messy spreadsheet and be like, hey, clean this up and make it pop. And the AI would just do it.
Pretty much. It's still early days, of course, but the potential is huge. Imagine navigating complex software, editing videos, even just browsing the web, all using just your voice.
I don't know if that's cool or creepy, but it's definitely going to be a game changer. Both OpenAI and Microsoft are betting big on this future, where AI isn't just a tool, it's practically an extension of ourselves. But they're not the only players in this game anymore. It's almost like everyone wants to be our AI best friend these days. But it's not just these big companies, right? And you mentioned some really interesting things happening in the open source AI world. And I'll admit, open source always sounds a little, like a secret programmer handshake to me. What does it all mean for those of us who just want to use this cool tech?
It's a great question because open source AI has the potential to really open things up, democratize this tech in a way we haven't seen before. Basically, it means making the underlying code of an AI model freely available so anyone can use it, tweak it, build on it. Totally different from how companies like OpenAI or Google usually do things, where the code is, a closely guarded secret.
Okay, so instead of a few companies calling all the shots, it's more like a global brainstorming session, everyone pitching in. Sounds a little chaotic, but kind of exciting too.
It definitely shakes things up, speeds up innovation, that's for sure. Like, take Meta. They just released this thing called Llama 3.2, an AI model so powerful it can run offline entirely on your phone.
Wait, hold up. Offline? You mean no internet connection needed? How does that even work? Most of these AI tools live in the cloud, don't they?
And that's the groundbreaking part, right? Llama 3.2 is a huge step towards AI that's more accessible and potentially more private. All the processing happens locally on your device. Big deal for people with limited internet, but also for anyone concerned about data privacy.
Oh, that's a really good point. I hadn't even thought about that. It makes sense, though, why some people might hesitate to hand over even more of their digital lives to these big companies.
Exactly. And with Llama 3.2, all your interactions, everything stays on your phone. It's a potential game changer. We're already seeing this wave of developers building privacy-focused apps powered by this open source model.
So that's the offline part. But what about the open source part? What kind of impact is that actually having?
Imagine giving everyone the building blocks for powerful AI. Right? That's what open source does. And it's sparked this crazy arms race in a good way. Everyone from tech giants to independent researchers pushing the limits of what's possible.
So it's not just Meta making moves anymore. Who else is stepping up their game?
Oh, man, it's like a Cambrian explosion of AI innovation right now. NVIDIA, they're known for graphics cards, right?
Yeah.
They've got a new open source model claiming to be on par with GPT-4, especially with images. And then there's this group, Black Forest Labs, kind of came out of nowhere. Their model, Flux 1.1, everyone's buzzing about its image generation capabilities. Super impressive stuff.
Wow, it's a lot to keep track of. Every day it seems like there's a new breakthrough, a new player, a million new possibilities. How do we even wrap our heads around this AI explosion without getting totally overwhelmed?
You've hit the nail on the head. It's not just the individual things, you know? It's about understanding this massive shift that's happening. We're going from AI as a tool to AI being integrated into the very fabric of our digital world, that Copilot vision we talked about for Microsoft. Just one example.
So it's like AI isn't just this helpful assistant anymore. It's dot everywhere, all the time. I could see how that would be a lot for people to process, even a little unnerving.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge. And like any major technological leap, it comes with questions, challenges, you name it.
And we can't just ignore the potential downsides, right?
Yeah.
All the ethical stuff, the chance of misuse, even that fear of AI getting too smart for its own good. Are we headed for some kind of sci-fi thriller scenario here? It really does feel like we're walking this tightrope between incredible advancements and potential dangers,
Yeah.
But it's not like we can just hit pause on AI progress while we figure everything out.
Right. This stuff moves so fast. And honestly, trying to stop it would be almost impossible, probably even counterproductive. The key is making sure it's being developed responsibly, and that brings us to regulation, which is always a tricky subject.
Speaking of tricky, you mentioned earlier that California's governor blocked that deepfake law. That feels like a sign of just how tough it's going to be to create AI regulations that actually work.
Yeah, it really highlights the tough spot lawmakers are in, you know? On the one hand, we absolutely need to protect people from potential harm, whether it's misinformation, privacy violations, or even just straight up malicious uses of AI. But if you make the rules too strict, you risk stifling innovation, maybe even stepping on things like free speech.
Finding that balance is never easy.
Yeah.
What were the main concerns with that California deepfake law anyway?
So basically, it tried to hold AI companies responsible if their technology was used to cause harm, even if they weren't directly involved. Like, say someone used an open source AI model to make a deep fake video that's libelous. The company that made that model could be held liable.
I get that, though. If a company builds a tool, shouldn't they be responsible for how it's used, even indirectly?
It makes sense on the surface, but the law was seen as way too broad. It could have meant that companies were on the hook for stuff they couldn't possibly predict or control. Just shows how hard it is to write laws that specifically target the unique problems AI poses without having all these unintended consequences.
A real legal and ethical minefield, for sure.
Any other AI legal battles we should have on our radar?
Actually, yeah, there's another interesting case recently. A judge blocked a California bill that was supposed to regulate deepfakes in political campaigns.
Mm.
The idea was to force social media companies to slap a big label on any AI-generated content, especially anything showing candidates.
Oh, yeah, talk about a hot button issue. I can definitely see how AI-generated deepfakes could be used to mess with elections, spread distrust, all that. Definitely a valid concern. But the judge said the way the bill was written, it was too vague and could have infringed on First Amendment rights. Just goes to show it's this constant balancing act between mitigating risks and protecting those fundamental freedoms in the age of AI.
It's like every time we try to address one thing with this whole AI revolution, we uncover a whole new layer of complexity,
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? How do we navigate this crazy, rapidly changing landscape without getting totally overwhelmed, or worse, accidentally creating some dystopian AI future?
That's the million-dollar question, and there's no easy answer. But if I had to offer one piece of advice, it'd be this: stay curious.
Curiosity. That's your big takeaway after this wild ride through AI breakthroughs, legal battles, and the fate of humanity.
Think about it. We're at the very beginning of something truly incredible. This technology has the power to reshape the world in ways we can't even imagine yet. And how we interact with it, understand it, and shape its development that's going to determine what that future looks like.
So instead of being scared of the unknown, we should be diving in headfirst, asking questions, even getting our hands a little dirty.
Exactly. Experiment with these new tools, but don't shy away from the tough questions either. Think about the ethics, stay updated on the latest developments, and most importantly, keep the conversation going. This isn't just about some abstract technology, this is about the future we're building together.
I like that. It's about being an active participant in all this, not just someone along for the ride. And as we've seen today, there's definitely no shortage of stuff to be curious about.
No shortage at all. And with that, I'll leave you with one final thought. We've talked about AI agents booking our flights and writing our emails, but what if their real potential goes way beyond that? What if, instead of just doing tasks for us, AI could help us understand ourselves better? Imagine an AI that analyzes your online activity, your writing, even your social interactions, and then offers insights into your personality, your strengths, your areas for growth.
Whoa. It's like having an AI therapist, career counselor, and best friend all rolled into one. That's amazing and a little bit scary, to be honest.
Exactly. It really makes you think about the limits of what AI can do and how much of ourselves we're willing to explore with the help of technology.
Mind-blowing stuff. Clearly, the only thing we know for sure about the future of AI is that it's full of surprises. So as always, the best way to prepare is to stay curious, stay informed, and never stop learning. And hey, who knows, maybe someday our AI companions will be right there with us on that journey.